It's alive! Okay, don't hate me here, but I've Frankensteined this bike a little bit. I've got it under good authority from some Canyon owners. When you change out the standard DT Swiss wheels, just something a little bit more high-end.
Right to jail, right away, jail.
The bike really comes alive. So the best wheels that I've got are my Roval Rapide CLXs here. Let's see if it makes it more exciting. I'm expecting the bike to go from a really fast and good all-round bike to something that's really fast and exciting to ride. Let's get on it. It's important to note that with this change, the bike doesn't actually feel any faster, but there are different areas where it does feel like it's improved it a bit.
First of all, let's talk about the weight drop, because I think that's probably where a lot of the sensation of these wheels come from in improving the bike. So first of all, I weighed it in at 7.6 kilos, as it is, as you can see on screen now, the DT Swisses. Then I've now put on the Roval Rapide CLXs here, and it came in at 7.34 kilos, so a 260 gram saving just from the wheels alone. I didn't ride the bike with these on, but I then tested it out with some ultralight wheels here from the Pest, and these are 1241 gram wheels, and the bike came in at 7.2 kilos with these wheels on. I think there's some easy weight savings to be made there. Climbing was one of the areas where I actually noticed it most on the bike, so I suspect it was down to both the reduction in weight on the wheel and also an increase in lateral stiffness of the wheel as well, but it just made the bike feel a little bit more energetic, a bit more fun out the saddle, just like a small 5% improvement on the all-around riding experience.
The Rovals are light, but they aren't the lightest wheels in the world. I still think you can buy lighter brands out there if you really wanted to. They certainly exist, especially for the Chinese market. But obviously the reduction in weight really does make the bike feel a bit more energetic when you're out the saddle there. The first and the most noticeable area is the handling of the bike. It just feels more stable going around the corner. There's less twitchiness. And well, this bike was already good at high speeds, but it's a bit more twitchy at low speeds. But yeah, the new wheels definitely feel a bit more stable at lower speeds. I think a lot of that is definitely down to the wider front tyre here. It just gives the bike a lot more stability and feels more planted and stable when riding. That 25 that it comes stocked with is definitely too narrow, I think.
And all of this is just from going from a 25 to a 28mm tyre. Now, I normally run a 30mm tyre on here, but these Vittorias actually stay at 28mm. They don't blow out like a GP5 does.
It is an extremely windy day here in the UK today. All the trees are blowing hard, and I normally commend these wheels for just being so stable all the time. But I think this frame still catches the wind. So I am 88 kilos, do remember that, so the wind affects me less than it does other people. But I think the really deep tube shapes on the Canyon here still suffer in those side winds. I do feel like these are better than the stock wheels. I feel like on the stock wheels, if the wind's blowing this way, the bike didn't let you turn back into the wind, whereas with these wheels you still can turn back in, just making them that little bit more usable. The physical changes that have been made to the rear of the bike have been so positive, and I'll show the changes in this video here, linked on screen now. But these wheels just add to that. They make it feel even better. They just give the bike another, 3 to 5% of energy and fun, and you can feel it. Again, sprinting with different wheel sets on here, much of the same again. It just feels, once again, the wider tyre makes it feel a little bit more planted again on a bike that already feels well planted. But it just feels that 5% snappier, a little bit sharper, a little bit more energetic underneath the body. Every pedal stroke that you do just gives you feels like you have a little bit more propulsion, a little bit more in the forward direction. I thought the wider tyres on the comfort front would help a little bit more than they did, and they are better. The wider tyres, you can definitely notice them, but still through the frame, you can still feel a bit more shock and a bit more vibration than I was hoping for. In other countries like Spain, it's probably not going to be an issue. Here in the UK, I do think you really need that wider tyre, and this has got clearance up to 32, and I think you probably should go up to 32 on the rear if you can.
I don't know if Canyon would do this in the future, but I think it would be nice if they offered the option of having just buy a frame only. I know at the Canyon as a package, it actually comes as a very good deal. You get deep set wheels, you get a great group set normally, you usually get a pound meter with them, and you get a fantastic frame with it. But you know, some people like to take their own group sets over, or they like to carry their wheels over from different bike to bike. So I think it would be nice as an option just to buy frame only if you can with the Canyon Aeroad. I'm sure there's a reason that they do it, so put your hypotheses down below for me. Changing the wheels like this generally applies to most brands, unless you're buying the top end models. Usually the wheels generally aren't that light or that wide, so I'd imagine just upgrading the wheels on pretty much any bike, you will start to feel these sensations.
Well, there it is, my little bit of a Frankenstein Canyon Aeroad. Obviously here I'm not advocating for Rovals, they're just one option, they're the wheels that I have on me. You can put any wider wheels and wider tyres that you want to onto this bike.
As I said earlier in the video, there are now loads of options coming from the Chinese market that are lighter than the Rovals, they're wider than the Rovals that I've got on here, so you can run wider tyres that should be just as aero and be very, very comfortable.
I also think it's helped the handling just a little bit. It's just desensitized it at slow speeds. It was nice handling at high speeds, but a bit more sensitive at lower speeds. Sprinting, I think, has had another positive impact. Like I said, I think the upgrades on the rear of the bike that they've done to this new version have really made the climbing up the saddle and the sprinting a lot better. And just adding another great wheel set on top of that really levels it up again. Just brings it up to that top step that it wants to be on. Anyway guys, if you have any specific questions or things that you think I've missed, feel free to put them in the comments below, or you can find me right here on Instagram and you can message me privately there. I've been Jason, this has been Cycling Unboxed. See you in another video.